sitting here with Maps, the handsome Maps. How are you? Thank you for joining us.
Very good, thanks. And you, thank you for having me.
Maps, take us back to times before you were this big brand that you are now. Have you always wanted to be in TV?
Well, geez, I don't know so much about the big band part, but yeah, when I was younger, I always enjoyed. I was always quite a performer. I always was acting around with my family. I'd always play a lot of city games, but I didn't know there was something that I would end up being in. You know, there was a point where I was thinking, okay, well, you know, maybe acting could be cool. But at the same time, I was thinking of going into law. But at the same time, I wanted to be an architect. But at the same time, I wanted to be an aeronautical engineer. So there was a lot going on in my mind. And then at the end of matric, I decided, you know, that I want to go study in the States. So I applied for certain scholarships in the States, hoping that it would all work out. And it didn't work out to a point where the scholarships were enough to afford going there. And instead of rushing into varsity here, I decided I'd take a gap year. And in my gap year, I was really going to find myself and really find out what I wanted to do. But you know, I wanted to be able to do something that I would love and enjoy, and would in the end have managed to make enough money from it to travel and go overseas for the first time, and be able to buy my first car, and really just move towards being solely independent. You know, as you leave that nest of your parents' dependence or your parents' independence that you have. And yeah, so I then was sort of thinking, you know, I love talking. I love meeting people. I love meeting people, and I love a whole different variety of subjects. I love entertainment. I love fashion. I love media, and I love sports. So I wrote down a list of things I wanted to do in my gap year, things that I was gonna go on a mission to do. And on that list, I wrote go to TV presenting auditions and become a TV presenter, and then hopefully be a commentator as well, and then hopefully get into modeling, because people kept saying, you know, maybe you should try some modeling. And then from that, if I get into modeling, try to get this many commercials done, and this many catalogs done, and this many print campaigns done, and then after all of that, go away to Europe for 2 or 3 weeks, and then come back and be able to buy your first car when you come back. And yeah, it all started when I went for my first audition. It was for a sports.
That was here in South Africa.
In South Africa, yes. It was for a sports show. And yeah, I got the job. I started presenting this schoolboy rugby show, and then they asked me to do some commentating. And while I was doing that, I met a photographer, and he said he wanted to do something with me for his portfolio, and then I could have a portfolio, and I was like, cool. And then a couple months later, he said, listen, this company wants to do an ad campaign, and I recommended you, and they want to see what you like. So I went for that sort of audition, and they liked me. And my first modeling job was a nationwide billboard campaign, which was for the World Cup. And then I was like, oh, this modeling thing's actually not so bad. Maybe I should try it out. So then I started thinking of the agencies I wanted to join, and I went to this first agency where someone said, you know, they'd be the best ones to go to, and they said, nah, I don't think your look will work, you're too commercial, and also no one's going to like the glasses, no one wears glasses in modeling things. But I was always adamant to be myself when it comes to whatever I do, and not compromise, and I wanted to find my signature that really resonated with being me, and that was the glasses, because I've always worn glasses. So I was like, cool, thank you, I'll go somewhere else. And a couple people gave me other agencies to phone and think about. I was calling different agencies, and I'm very relationship oriented with how I meet someone, with energies and what they possibly may say in a certain way that can help make my decision. And then I called this other agency or another agency, and it sounded really good on the phone, and I said, cool, let's go meet up. And I went to them, and we hit it off immediately. They shared my vision. They loved the glasses. They thought they could work. I said I could make them work, and the rest is history really from there. And then lots of things developed from then onwards. I was working with SA Fashion Week. I started out at SA Fashion Week as the director, Lucilla Boysen's PA, and I learnt a lot through all of that. And then I slowly, moved closer and closer to being more in a supervisor role as the seasons came by, assistant directing, and then I. From all of that, I think I was out there a lot more while I was doing the TV presenting and while I was doing some modeling, and then everything just was avalanching and
just coming in.
Everything just started happening.
Well, taking you a bit back, you did was it your first audition when you got the TV presenting job, or it was?
That was my first audition. I mean, I had done modeling when I was about 10 years old. 10 or 12 years old, but I did like 2 jobs, and then I stopped because as soon as those campaigns were out, the kids would like make fun of me, and I was like, oh man, this is lame anyway, I'm not gonna do this. This is not cool. And also I was playing like 9 sports in school, so I just didn't have time to keep going to the castings and shoots and everything. So after school, that was like my first proper sort of audition.
So after that, you never thought of going back to school? That was it?
No.
During the gap year, what really happened?
After that, nothing was gonna take me away from my education. I started varsity, and I was going to varsity every day, studying a quadruple major at Wits. In English, French, and Media Studies and International Human Rights, while I was working doing the TV presenting and the modeling and all the fashion work. So I was juggling all of them together. But the main thing was making sure that I got a degree that I could be proud of, and to make sure that I did it really well. And that's exactly what ended up happening. And I managed to work at the same time. And it was quite a learning curve for me. I learned a lot because while working and everything, I managed to put myself through varsity. So it was that extra motivation, knowing that while I'm working, that's the money that's going to pay for varsity. That's the money that's going to pay for my books and everything, pay for my petrol, pay for my food. I was fully independent and pushing to get myself through. So I grew up very quickly during those stages because, I mean, it's not easy, especially when you, in my industry, not every job when you're starting off is going to come in when you think it's going to come in. You're going to have a lot of quiet periods. So you have to be very smart about, how you spend your money, and to make sure that you're always saving for a rainy day, but at the same time you need to make sure that you're committed and working hard, going to as many castings and auditions that you can go to, so that you're always sort of gonna hopefully get that next job, and that you'll be okay for that month. And that's really how it's all just built up, and now it's just a privilege to be in a position where I don't have to worry about going to all those castings and waiting 3-hour lines.
Now they call you for a job.
Yeah, now they call, and now it's a privilege to be in a position where your biggest problem is saying no to jobs. There's a lot coming in, so it's just picking the right things now. So I mean, I put in a lot of hours and work into that. I take my work very seriously. And I'd have a lecture, and then there'd be a 30-minute break, and in that 30-minute break I'd quickly go to the audition, get my number in line, knowing that it's going to be 3 hours, come back to the next lecture, and then as soon as varsity was done, hopefully make it back in time that I can get my place and do my audition. And then, you know, it was just like on just non-stop, you know, juggling in between all of that.
And you still managed to make it through.
Yeah, I mean, you have days when you get the jobs and you're doing a shoot and you're shooting from 4 a.m. until 9 p.m. for the next 3 days, but you have varsity in between, and so you take your books there and you study there and you try catch up with what you've been missing. Luckily, I had friends who would let me know what we did in class that day, and it was quite a juggle, but it made time management very important for me and to me, to be able to be extremely efficient with what you're doing. And you know, it's at a point now where I feel like because of that and because of how I managed to really manage my time properly, moving forward I've just become this punctual OCD person that is very serious about their time, and I get a lot done because of that. Lots of people ask me how I manage to do everything I'm doing, because I'm currently doing TV presenting, acting, modeling, script writing, fashion design, creative consulting, image consulting, emceeing, voiceovers, and hosting events.
Do you have
and I'm
a
an
personal
entrepreneur.
life at all?
I do have a personal life. You know, my manager and I hang out when we can.
Hang out on the weekend.
Talk about business in our relaxation time.
This one is a different kind of business, because you're always busy with other things.
Yeah, there's always a lot on the go. But no, I really try to make time for a lot of personal time. It doesn't happen often, but when I can, I try to see my friends. But I spend a lot of time in my free time, if I can, with my parents, with my mom, or with my brother as well. Yeah.
So how have you managed to stay relevant in the industry? I know you're doing a whole lot of things, and you know, how have you managed to really stay relevant and be able to balance it all?
I think well, first and foremost, I've always been an advocate of quality of work that you do over that quantity. So whatever I've done, I've tried to make it as quality as possible. I've tried to do the best with it as I can. But I've also tried to show my different dimensions as an entertainer, or a model or personality, or whatever you want to phrase it as. Because when I started out, I was doing TV presenting, and then the following year the focus was modeling, and then the following year after that the focus was fashion design, and then the following year after that, which was last year, was acting.
And then this year?
And this year it's really just continuing with all of them. There's the films coming out this year. I got 2 films coming out, but the main one is coming out in May, June. It's called Tell Me Sweet Something, directed by Akina Motoso. So I'm really excited about that. And yeah, it's just somehow finding all of them to coexist. And I mean, as much as I said this year would be that, there's also going to be the business focus. I think this year my focus is actually going to be a bit more of the business side of things, but still continue with everything. There's just something new that's being unveiled, a new dimension that's being unveiled sort of each year. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that, and I try to make sure that I keep the clock ticking over in that way, by keeping the work ticking over and keeping people interested, to a point where, you know, it's already been about 5 or 6 years down the line, and people are still interested, and they get to have interviews with Concord TV. So I guess I'm doing something right.
Certainly you are. But how do you balance it up? You were called the sexiest man in South Africa, and then I'm sure you've got all the ladies going crazy over you. And how do you do it? This is the right one, and this is the gold digger one, or this is the crazy one. You know, how do you manage to say, okay, you know, this is me, this is the type of person I'm looking for, and just be able to differentiate rather.
Well, look, luckily I'm not that person who's all about the ladies. Like I said, I like to
They're not
focus.
gonna like that.
I like to focus on my work,
Yeah.
so that usually comes first. So I find that if it becomes about women, then you start to lose focus, and it's not something that I'm here to do. You know, it's not what I'm about, and it's not something I like to dwell on and focus on. You know, I don't want to be just known as that guy, the so-called sex symbol type guy.
Yeah.
It's something that's been very awkward for me to come to terms with. In 2013, when I won Cosmo's SA Sexiest Man, I was very weird, but I've learned to embrace it, and you know when it's real with someone, and you know when it's not. You know when someone's just excited to meet you and the idea of you, and you know that immediately that's just a warning sign of don't even get involved. This person.
Don't go there.
Yeah. I tend to be more attracted to people who have no idea who I am or what I do, or just couldn't care less. It's a lot more authentic, and you can build your relationship from the inside out. And I find a lot more value in that. So I've learned, you know, certain ways to deal with I don't know how to put it, but adoring supporters, and it's been quite an experience.
Very selective with words.
Yeah, I have to be very selective. The strangest things have happened. I've had boyfriends or guys bring their girlfriends to me and say, my girlfriend is absolutely in love with you. Please can you just give her a kiss, or just tell her you love her or something? And I'm like,
oh my god.
I just don't understand it. It's something that's always puzzled me.
Do you kiss her?
No, I just give them a hug, and I'm like, aha.
Not even a peep.
This is not awkward at all. It's been difficult with relationships because of that, because lots of people don't quite respect or understand your space when you are in the limelight, because they feel that because you're in the limelight, they have part ownership in who you are. And there's an element of truth in that, in terms of the fact that if they've really supported you, and this is why I respect my supporters even more, is that essentially them supporting you and their word of mouth and their backing you is what puts you where you are.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm human, and I need my private space, and I need my time with my friends and my family and my loved ones. And I've had occasions where I'm with a girlfriend and another girl will literally barge in and just like be up close and just like start talking to me, and I'm just like I'm having a conversation with my girlfriend. I'm so sorry, and she's like, no, she can wait. How are you? And then like she'll start like trying to
You're kidding me.
work her way in. And there was a time when we were with my friends and I saw my girlfriend, and that exact scenario happened, and my friends pulled this woman away. And this woman, when she was leaving late in the night, said, listen, I know you're his girlfriend, but tonight when you're together, please tell him I love him, and tell him to think of me when you're doing whatever you're doing. So there aren't any boundaries or lines. And yeah, this is another girl there who had a boyfriend, sorry, and it was just, so that gets weird to sort of adjust to, where people are literally fainting or gasping,
and you still have to
when
put
you
a smile on
encounter
your
them.
face.
Yeah, but I try to humanize it as much as possible. So if someone's like, oh my gosh, and I can see they want to like say something or ask for something, I diffuse the situation by immediately saying, hey, can I have a photo with you? And they're like, what? Photo with me? What?
Really?
And then you just completely like disarm them. They don't know what to do. Yeah. And then that moment happens, and then they're just very confused when you walk away.
You're a pro.
So I've definitely learned to deal with that in certain ways. But I definitely try and respect people as much as I can. And you find that there's a great in a lot of the understanding people, there's a great understanding of that between the two, and they allow your space when you need to have it, because I mean, till this day, it's happened many times where even guys were in the toilets and I'm in the urinal and they want to shake my hand when they realize who's taking a piss next to them.
You know.
And I'm like, when I'm done, I'll happily shake your hand.
Seriously.
I've taken like selfies in the bathroom and I'm just like, why?
I've heard
You know?
Reason has told us about selfies at a funeral.
Yo,
So
people
it's
take photos at
happening.
funerals all the time. All the time. Hashtag death. That is insensitive. And it's just like, it's ridiculous. So people, when that moment grasps them, they lose all sense of etiquette and ethic and manners and it's just-
Everything.
so you need to just sort of like try handle the situation. But it's a fun experience and it's great being able to have an effect on people like that, on people's lives in a positive way, and make people smile and be able to make people's day. So yeah, it's great to be a producer of that in a way, I guess, a receptor of that. Yeah.
For sure, it is great. Maps, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
And viewers, thank you so much for watching.